Three, Len, what's the mechanism that LotLinx uses to establish attribution so car dealers can measure its true value?
Yeah, so attribution is the Holy Grail, right? All the dealer wants to know is if I'm, is this driving my sales? And, it has been a tough game to, look at digital metrics. Is this succeeding in terms of traffic, and then connect that to sales? So, we were the first, we moved very aggressively building all of our attribution around Google Analytics. We hired some of the original people from Urchin, which was the company that Google bought to make Google Analytics. We got very smart about setting up a standardized setup so we could judge traffic, which is what feeds our system. You need to feed machine learning with stable data that allows it to then find the optimal mix. But over the past couple of years, we've expanded that to having a view into the market and what's actually selling. So everything in our system is optimized against, is this traffic having an impact on two dimensions? One, the sales pace of that unit, and that's constantly changing because of in-market demand, stocking levels, how other dealers are selling down their inventory, OEM incentives and other pricing moves that happen. It's a very dynamic marketplace, right? So we're looking at, hey, is this having an impact, adjusted for all those things in terms of the actual sales pace of the subject inventory, and then overall day supply trends, because that's really the cost driver for a dealer, is how long are you holding inventory, because there's the cost of holding the inventory, stocking it, but there's this accelerating cost of actually selling it through as inventory ages. So we're about ready so we use this in our platform, and that's how all of our targeting is done, is based on actually the sell-through rates, the impact on sales. But we're now moving that into a dealer-facing tool so they can look at digital metrics, which they're doing now, and we've helped some of the companies that are out there making a business of this get going and use some of our technology. But but the real issue is, okay, if I'm looking at my time on site, my engagement metrics, and all of that stuff that over the past couple of years, dealers have been taught to do, still can I decide that this is actually selling cars for me? And so next generation of our product, which we're releasing right now to our larger dealer customers, it'll be available to everybody at the end of this year, will put dealers in a position to draw that connection. Because one of the key issues, I'll try to illustrate this. We all know that buyers do a lot of things online. Google says 147 things over, key actions over the course of about 32 days. They're looking at 10 nameplates, right? So they're considering 10 different things. They're moving through this very erratic process. And so it's kind of like a basketball game, right? To win a basketball game, you got to score in every quarter, right? But the way they tend to go, I'm not much of a basketball fan, is, everybody, they score together and it runs up to 118 to 120, right? And then it comes down to who actually makes the last basket, who's got the momentum at the end of the game. And frankly, in digital marketing, you can, if you're just looking at engagement metrics, some of those early visits that have nothing to do with what the consumer's going to actually buy. Remember, they're looking at 10 nameplates, right? So 9 of them, they're not even going to end up buying. So some of those highly engaged visits happen in the early shopping, right? That's when you look at all the photos. That's when you spend time in the car. What does a Camry look like? What are the options available? Later on, people know all that. Now they're just checking inventory. And that's the strike moment, is when somebody knows exactly what they're going to buy and they're looking for who's in stock and available on that. That's the moment you want to own. That's like making the last basket to win the game, right? So our system is all built around that, that move into the very low funnel. When people move into that buy cycle, that's when we're targeting buyers. We're watching them through their process, but then targeting them when they're ready to move. When I came up in this business, it was back in the days of direct mail, and so buyers would respond to national advertising on a new product launch, and they'd say they want a brochure on the new Sebring. Problem was, when they took that action, they were driving the car within 72 hours, and you couldn't get a brochure in their hands, fast enough to influence that sale. So it's always worked this way, that people move through the consideration process, they get set on what they're going to buy, and then they move very aggressively into the buy cycle, and that's when you have to target them. And so looking at your traffic, how much are you buying, early? Are you scoring big in the first quarter, but then you're trailing off in the fourth quarter? We know who's going to win that game, not you, right? So you got to make sure that you're allocating your investment smartly through that process and reaching people at the transactional moment, because that's what's really driving retail sales, is that that transactional advertising.
Well, it makes sense. Hey, it's a truly unique solution. Thanks, Len.
Thank you.